Dear attendees, dear media representatives, today we have had a rather productive meeting with the management of Kazanchi Holding, which through its energy companies that are working under the brand AXA represent one of the largest energetic giants in their area. With more than 25 years of experience, AXA Energy is a leading energy company in the energy sector and a key global investor in sustainable energy. The company avails of installed capacity of over 3,500 megawatts in 8 countries, while the majority owner of AXA Energy, Kazanchi Holding, operates in 20 countries across 4 continents. I spoke in the past when it comes to resolving the issue of air pollution. We discussed with investors interested in building cogenerative power plants that are the only permanent solution for the polluted air, and that everything else would mean putting the problem under the rug. It is about cogenerative power plants with 500 megawatts that would theoretically produce 4.1 terawatt hours electricity and about 720 gigawatt heating energy on an annual basis. Precisely, Kazanchi Holding is the company with which today we discussed the construction of a secondary gas network and a heating network that would reach households at extremely beneficial conditions, and the costs should be zero, while the cost for gas would be much lower than the one at stock exchanges. The entire project, the construction of secondary gas pipeline, heating pipeline and gas power plant amounts to €1 billion, which is not important only to permanently resolve the air pollution problem, which is one of the main issues of the citizens that I'm highly aware of. And I would lie to you if I said that there were quick solutions. Then in that case, I wouldn't be serious and wouldn't speak the truth. Also, this investment is important for the energy potential of the country. Investment in this area are the guarantee to strengthen our energy independence in the 21st century, and it is the strengthening of the sovereignty of the country in its decision-making and policy-making. We are discussing projects that are of primary importance for technology, energy independence, and strategic positioning of Macedonia. Discussions are continuing, and I'm sure that in very short time we will agree and have specific steps on the implementation of their plans. Only in this way can we work for the future of our citizens. As the President of the government, together with the people having with me today, primarily I mean here the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Environment, Mr. Medjiti, the Minister of Energy, Mineral Raw Materials and Mining, Ms. Božinovska. We have had Dimitar Deminovski, Vladimir Pishevsky as my advisor, and everybody else who would be involved as of now, where I would expect rather soon to get started with the implementation of this investment, and it should be rather operational very soon. That would positively affect the environment and citizens' comfort. Thank you.
Evet, ben de ülkenizde bulunmaktan gurur duymaktayım. Aksa Enerji ve Aksa Doğalgaz olarak ülkenizde çeşitli yatırımlar yapmak arzusu içerisindeyiz.
I'm very much glad to be in the presence of His Excellency Mr. Prime Minister and the team in your beautiful country here today. As AXA Energy and AXA natural gas business, we are willing to invest to this beautiful country for over $1 billion investment.
Sayın Başbakanımızla ve bakanlarımızla yaptığımız toplantıda ülkenin enerji sorununu ve gaz dağıtım işini en hızlı bir şekilde çözmek için hızlı bir yol alacağımızı dile getirdik.
During the meeting with His Excellency Mr. Prime Minister and the honorable ministers, we have been discussing the fast solution provision of our capacity as AXA Group for the investment of power generation and heat and gas distribution networks to resolve the major problems of the country.
Evet. Yapacağımız yatırım yaklaşık 1 milyar euroluk bir yatırım olacak. Bunu da en kısa sürede devreye alıp hem hava kirliliğinin önüne geçmek hem de enerji maliyetlerini aşağı indirmek için elimizden gelen gayreti göstereceğiz.
The total investment that we were planning to do over the years will reach approximately 1 billion euros of investment, and that investment will facilitate for the country to have a more sustainable and reliable power generation, heat generation, and much more environmental friendly power generations that will be useful for the people of Macedonia.
Evet. İnşallah hayırlı olur.
Hopefully it's going to be the best for the country. Thank you for your support and the attention.
Thank you.
Ако имате прашања, повелете што
If you have any questions, feel free. You may pose them. First of all, regarding the topic, is it going to have a status of a free producer, and does it plan to sell the electricity on the domestic market and to bring the gas through the existing infrastructure? There is no free producer, nor the energy law recognizes, but is it going to be on the regulated or free market? It's going to be on the free market without any additional subsidies by the state beyond those legal subsidies that belong to each investor. The price shall be identified at the free market depending on the consumers. You know that the heating energy is regulated by the Regulatory Commission, and virtually there is nothing to be corrected there or done there. But when it comes to all the other attributes that are part of these projects, where the gas would come from, are we going to have a capacity even down the existing gas pipeline coming from our southern neighbor? This investment can be fully supplied with gas, but let me share some nice news with you that in March we're expecting to sign the agreement for launching the construction of the interconnector with Greece. Because the tender procedure is over now, we have a company that has the lowest price, the best bid, and we have the green light from the banks funding the project, EIB and EBRD, and I expect that we would have an additional opportunity there finally for the southern interconnector to be functional and operational, about 3 billion cubic meters on an annual basis, and the north interconnector is part of the projects that will be funded in the growth plan that was adopted by the European Union, where you have, we know that we have 750 million euro available, 350 and 400 million are for projects. You said that you discussed this. Does this mean that you are going to sign an agreement? And since when, as of when this investment would start? We are still considering the models of investment. One of the scenarios is primarily private investment, where the company would be the sole owner, construct the facility and operate it later on, and so forth. it will work as their ownership. And the second possibility is to analyze the opportunity to make it part of the public-private partnership law, where the state would be the co-owner in the project, depending on the legal and constitutional restrictions in terms of which of these two scenarios will be selected. But it's important to say that this is the only way if we wish to have cleaner air. Everything else is a political maneuver and playing the feelings of citizens. Now, since the topics were exhausted, yesterday in the General Assembly of the United Nations, the resolutions for Ukraine were considered, and Macedonia did not support the EU resolution. Can this be interpreted in a way as a lack of compliance of our external policy, foreign policy, with the EU policies, and how is it going to affect our strategic partners? And was this decision made only within the government? Why didn't you hear the position of the experts and general public on this issue? Because following your presentation yesterday, there were some reactions on social media. I might be following other social media. I didn't manage to see those responses you're discussing right now. On the contrary, we stood together with our strategic partner, the United States of America, which was not the EU resolution, because a co-sponsor of the United States resolution is one EU member state, which is Hungary. So it is not about a harmonized foreign policy of the EU. And our position when it comes to the harmonized EU foreign policy, there shouldn't be a dilemma that we would always be there, because we have harmonized our foreign and defense policy together with the EU. In this case, it was not the case, and we stood behind the resolution and co-sponsored the United States resolution, which allow me to inform the Macedonian public was the only adopted resolution by the Security Council, which is applicable. Everything else that will be adopted by the General Assembly is not binding, and this is the Security Council, and we co-sponsored Israel, Georgia, Hungary, together with the United States. The second question relates to the Public Attorney Ljubčo Kocevski. If the Council of Public Prosecutors provides a negative opinion to dismiss the prosecutor, is it going to mean a political dismissal? And what were the reasons for which you are dismissing? What were the mistakes made by the General Attorney? You will allow us to elaborate on all of these reasons when this procedure is within Parliament, but I wouldn't make any assumptions about the opinion of the Public Prosecutors Council, bearing in mind that citizens have shown historically lowest trust and confidence in the judicial system. I don't expect that the Public Prosecutors Council would be captured by some centers of power. If citizens say that they trust our judiciary 2, 3, 4, 5%, I expect then the very same prosecutors that are paid by citizens' money to hear people's voice and to make a decision expected by the citizens. If otherwise, then the Parliament will have to debate, and then you will hear all the arguments. Precisely with regard to the removal of Kocevski, today in the government session, the proposal drafted by the Ministry of Justice was adopted, and the Council will have to yet to decide. Regarding the proposal of the Ministry of Justice, it is stated that Kocevski leaked information from court proceedings, which was contrary to law. Will the government seek his criminal responsibility, liability in this case? We will have to invoke the Constitution in order to identify and establish any criminal responsibility. We'll have to read the Constitution and make the right conclusions. But it's a fact, once again, I'll repeat, citizens have the lowest trust in the judicial system, and we need to establish it, to allocate it, to actually to locate the responsibility and identify why this is so. If the first prosecutors lack responsibility, then I don't know who should show responsibility in this regard. Thank you. Have a nice day.